I like violent movies. I'm not ashamed to admit it, nor should I be. If it's handled with style and artistic flair, there's nothing better than a room full of dudes blowing each other apart. Which is why I love Shootouts so much. Whether it's the gooey blood squibs, the sound of gunfire, or the diversity in action cinema, gunfights simply kick ass. Which is why we're going to go through a top 10 list of great movie shootouts. Just a quick note before we get started, war films will not be included. This is an emphasis on genre, not glorifying the death of soldiers of any kind, so no Saving Private Ryans or Full Metal Jackets. On that note, let's get started. Kicking things off at number 10 is Arthur Penn's 1967 feature Bonnie and Clyde.
Bert! That car belonged to Bonnie and Clyde. Show a little respect.
While it might seem dated to some of the other films on this list, Arthur Penn's 1967 classic set the bar for action films, especially Depression-era gangster movies. A hot item in its day, Bonnie and Clyde pushed the envelope in terms of screen violence and remains a pivotal film in the new Hollywood movement that followed in the years to come. Alright, coming in at number 9, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Indiana Jones might not be synonymous with action cinema as much as it is an adventure film. However, Indy's first outing is punctuated with a truly potent gunfight when we arrive at Karen Allen's Nepalese bar. Notably jarring for a PG rating, this expertly made sequence is one of the most memorable in the franchise and remains a hard-hitting piece of filmmaking.
Shoot them both.
Giving Indiana Jones that sobering contrast that made the film so indelible in the first place. Also, Karen Allen is a total badass. You can't talk about violent cinema without mentioning Quentin Tarantino. While Tarantino's films are often very violent, the gunplay is often reduced to standoffs or duels. However, he lets the blood fly during the infamous shootout at the Candyland Ranch. Jamie Foxx carries the movie with a stoic loner performance, but the real star at this point in the film is the gooey gunplay that remains an unforgettable entry in the director's career. While Quentin Tarantino's racial politics are, let's say weird, Django Unchained has some terrific gunfights and wonderful choreography.
Alright, everybody, hold it right where you are. This is a robbery.
Coming in at number 7 is John Milius' 1973 feature, Dillinger. Alright, so anyone familiar with John Milius knows he's a big gun guy. The self-professed Zen anarchist was actually the inspiration for John Goodman's Walt character in The Big Lebowski. Anyhow, his 1973 Dillinger film doesn't hold back on the violence and the blazing guns. There's 1911 Colts, 30-06s, and of course a whole shitload of Tommy guns. After all, it wouldn't be a 1930s era bank robber movie without a lot of Thompson submachine guns, right? There's plenty of great shootouts, but the showdown between the feds and the gangsters at their little hideaway is a wonderful scene that clocks in as the longest shootout in the film. There's explosions, bullets, and all sorts of crazy shit going on, and it merits many rewatches. Alright, well you had to see this one. Rolling in at number 6 is Brian De Palma's 1983 film Scarface. Despite being a critical and commercial failure, Brian De Palma's gangster saga has become a cultural phenomenon over the years. Likely due to its boundary-pushing violence. Not Brian De Palma's best effort, but quite possibly his most notable. Fun trivia note, young Steven Spielberg directed a scene in the film's finale. You know the part where the grappling hook goes over the ledge and gets... That was done by Steven Spielberg. The red color palette, the zinging bullets, and Al Pacino's over-the-top performance put Scarface in the unforgettable category. Alright, next up is the 2014 film John Wick. While the series would go on to up the ante, the first in the volume is one of the best. Not only did John Wick come from nowhere, it totally re-established Keanu Reeves as a badass action star. Plenty of headshots, broken bones, and stabbings, John Wick kicks out. Plus, don't you just want to see Theon Greyjoy get shot in the face? Okie dokie, when it comes to screen violence, gunfights, and action cinema, accept no substitutes for the one and only Sam Peckinpah, and his enduring classic film The Wild Bunch. Don't be fooled, it might be over 50 years old, however the body count's higher than any other film in this list. And the final shootout is less of a gunfight and more of a small war. Starring William Holden, Ernest Borgnine, Robert Ryan, and Edmund O'Brien, The Wild Bunch is a pivotal film. A revisionist western that's bathed in blood. Don't be fooled, the old masters can do it better than anyone else. And the work of Sam Peckinpah would go on to influence directors such as John Woo, Catherine Bigelow, and even Quentin Tarantino. Cinema hasn't looked the same before or after Sam Peckinpah, and few have topped or rivaled his balletic sense of beautiful gunplay.
If they move, kill them.
Arguably one of the best films of the 90s and a personal favorite of yours truly is L.A. Confidential. After a complicated case of shifting alliances, crooked land deals, corrupt politicians and police, the film climaxes in a violent showdown at an abandoned hotel on the outskirts of Los Angeles, where Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe shoot their way through a gang of crooked cops and hired guns. And cinematographer Dante Spinetti's photography is immaculate. You can see the gleams of light shimmering through the bullet holes. It's truly incredible work. A neo-noir masterpiece, L.A. Confidential is not just a great film with an awesome shootout, it's one of the best films of the 90s and a personal favorite. And taking the coveted number 2 on this list is Michael Mann's 1995 masterpiece, Heat. The climactic shootout and bank robbery scene in Heat is a flooring experience. Michael Mann's attention to detail gives Heat an edge that we hadn't seen before. Gunfights in movies didn't look or feel like this. Here, you actually see shell casings flying around. You see the recoil of a rifle. The muzzle flashes are blinding, and the gunshots are deafening. Instead of dubbing sound effects in post-production, what you hear in Heat are the actual gunshots being fired. Fun trivia, it's estimated that anywhere from 800 to 1,000 rounds were fired in shooting this scene. Not only has Michael Mann enjoyed a prolific career, he's also one of the most influential and important American artists working today. Fun bit of trivia, Michael Mann had filmed this story once before as his television movie, LA Takedown. It's pretty awesome, check it out. Alright, before you get all pissed I didn't mention your favorite movie shootout, here's a list of honorable mentions. Okay, coming in as the number 1 shootout of all time is the hospital showdown in John Woo's Hard Boiled. If you thought we'd make a movie shootout list and not include John Woo, you need to get a clue. And with Hard Boiled, there's nothing but great shootouts. But in the director's tradition of stunning action spectacle, the hospital throwdown is an A+ ultra of the director's career. As if the mind-blowing gunplay wasn't enough, the dramatic stakes are through the roof because John Woo has the nards to stage this in a freaking hospital of all places. While this might seem like an exploitative move, it's not. John Woo's cinema is based on the traditional ethics of heroism. Even when the carnage reaches its jaw-dropping levels, he still finds time for a little bit of humor and levity. Chow Yun-fat and John Woo have been wreaking mayhem for years, and while the director's American sojourns occasionally leave a lot to be desired, his Hong Kong thread is pure gold. So if you ever want to fix a beautiful bloodshed, pop in any John Woo film from his Hong Kong period. You won't be disappointed. But if you want the best action shootout, watch Hard Boiled. Alright, you've probably heard enough from me for now. If you have anything you want to say in the comments, sound off, and we'll catch you next time.